because the WhatsApp is overloading all the time. Okay. All right. So where did we stop last day, Lamai? Um, one second. Let me try to share the whiteboard with you all. We did carbohydrates.
Test for starch.
Test for starch.
Yeah.
Sacheli, I haven't replied to you. I will check. I will check and reply to you. Okay. Okay. Anyways, we do the test for glucose and sucrose? Okay.
Yes, teacher.
All right. Great.
Yes.
Great. Seems like there's a lot of absentees in your class. So in the group, there's how many? 27. So Mava Inkarama. Mava, I have another number of mine. So then that would be, I know that other number of mine is not here. So there should be 26 students. But we only have how many? 16. Excluding me, that's 15 of y'all. Mang attendance list mark I will get back. Because otherwise, now since you guys are quite new, I don't remember many of your names yet. But but for now I just can't remember. That's why note when at the present cow the absent. But every week I can't go around, like, chase each and every one of you. Personal right? You should be responsible, when the class starts. Unless I inform you that the class is not there, or that I let you know that the class will be late by 15 minutes, or like sometimes it can happen. හැමලේම නෙවෙයි නිකන් විනාඩි 5ක් පරක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේ වෙලාවට මම ඔයගන්ට ඉන්ෆෝම් කරොත් ඇරෙන්න. Otherwise, you should know that every week we start the class at 7 p.m. One second. How do I change this? Let me give me a second, Lamai. Let me share a new whiteboard. There's something wrong with the whiteboard. Let me go to the whiteboard. Click on the whiteboard. All right, now all good. Okay, so test for starch, did we finish it and did we write a little note for that?
Yes, we wrote the method.
Yes, miss.
Great. And did we write the observation that there will be like a purplish blue color?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
teacher.
Okay, great. So, today that means we can move on and we can do proteins, right? So, put a topic proteins. Don't write anything. Just put a topic proteins. Okay. Now, do you remember at the very beginning, we said that there are biological molecules and that we will be discussing 4 types of biological molecules, mainly the main 4 types. We said that's carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. Then classes. This is our 3rd week. So we will try to like speed up a little bit. First 2 weeks and like generally the first month, I keep it a little slow because you guys need to get accustomed and like to familiarize with the class and the teacher, right? Then අපි දැන් සති දෙකක් විතර ගිහිලා තියෙනවා චුට්ටක් අපි speed up කරමු. Okay. So we learned that there are 4 main types of biological molecules as carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. Right, so far what we have finished is carbohydrates. Under carbohydrates, we learned like the elemental composition, we learned the common molecular formula, and we learned that there are 3 types as monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides. And then under each type, we learned examples. For monosaccharides, we learned glucose, fructose, and galactose. For disaccharides, we learned examples as maltose, sucrose, and lactose. For polysaccharides, we learned starch, glycogen, and cellulose. Then we learned about the significance of carbohydrates. That means how are carbohydrates important? As an energy source, as a structural component, as a storage compound, and as a constituent of nucleic acid. ඒ කොටස විතරක් මම explain කරන්නේ නැහැ. As a constituent of nucleic acid කියන එක I didn't explain. I told you that I will explain that in a bit. And then we learned about the tests for glucose, fructose, sucrose, and starch. We learned 3 tests and how to conduct it. There are randomly food එකක් දීලා කිව්වොත් check if there is glucose here, or check if there is starch here, or check if there's sucrose here. You should be able to do it alone, right? You know the procedure. In certain schools, lab එකෙන් මේක කරනවා. මම දන්න හැමෝගෙම labs වල කොහොමද කියලා. But in your lab, they will do it. If your school has not started it, they will do it. But එහෙම නැතත් මට හිතෙන්නේ නැහැ මේකේ ලොකු complicated දෙයක් තියෙනවා කියලා. Whenever you learn about the tests and experiments, because this is not the only test we have, in the future also we are going to be learning different tests and experiments and all that. එතකොට ඔයගලන් ඒව පාඩම් කරද්දී just imagine you doing those. You are taking a test tube with a glucose solution. You are adding a few drops of Benedict. And then you heat a beaker with like a beaker filled with water. You hold a Bunsen burner and ඒක ඇතුළට test tube එක අපේ දාන්න. That's called a water bath. And then you observe colors are blue to green yellow to orange, then to brick red precipitate. Then you observe this, right? So try to sort of imagine, then it will stick to your memory better. Okay? Okay. So now that we're talking about proteins are also really important. Carbohydrates තමයි ළමයි ගොඩක්ම earth එකේ තියෙන්නේ. Proteins are not as abundant as carbohydrates, but equally important. මොකද අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම අපේ structures ගොඩාක් හැදලා තියෙන්නේ proteins වලින්. If you look at me, මගේ මුනේ muscles ඔගාන්ට පේනවනේ, right? I mean muscles ඔගාන්ට පේන, you only see the skin, but beneath the skin there's muscles, right? My cheek muscles, then there are muscles on my tongue, then my cheek muscles මේ ඔක්කොම තියෙනවා, right? මේ හැමතැනම muscles තියෙනවා. Okay? So එතකොට muscles ඔක්කොම හැදලා තියෙන්නේ proteins වලින්. So it's a very important structure, right? Not only that, if you look at my eyes, මගේ eyes වල proteins තියෙනවා. In my eye, there are proteins, okay? Then if you take my hair, you can see my hair. There are proteins there. When I'm talking like my nails, there are proteins, right? So likewise, proteins are involved in a lot of structures. So that is very, very important. Now we know what are the carbohydrates or the elements, Lamai? Can you all tell me?
Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen.
Yeah. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. These were the elements you were able to find in carbohydrates. Proteins වලදී චූටි වෙනසක් වෙනවා. In proteins also carbon is there, hydrogen is there, oxygen is there. In additionally, we have nitrogen. Some proteins වල විතරක්, right? Sometimes only on a sulfur තියෙනවා. But not in all proteins, huh? If you take carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, these 4 elements are found in all proteins. ඔක්කොම proteins වල තියෙනවා. But sulfur ගත්තොත් එහෙම, sulfur is not found in all the proteins, just some proteins only. Okay. එතකොට මෙහෙම තමයි elements වල හැදිලා තියෙන්නේ, right? So, can you tell me some food? එක්කෙනෙක් එක ගාන කියන්න බෑන මට food items where like proteins are abundant. Food that's rich in proteins. එක එක කියාගෙන යන්න.
Meat,
Okay, meat. Okay, eggs.
fish,
Mhm.
milk,
Fish, yes.
eggs,
Eggs, okay.
Milk.
Milk. Mm-hmm. Fish, yes. Yeah, dairy food වල තියෙනවා like cheese, milk ඒවා කොම yes. What else?
Curd.
Hmm?
Curd.
Curd wala yes because it's a dairy product. Good, yes.
Beef.
Yeah, beef because it's a meat. Okay. So all the types of meat like chicken, beef, mutton, pork. All like ඔය ගොඩක් සත්තුන්ගේ meat කරන අපි කන්න නැති වෙන සමහර කනවා වෙන්න පුළුවන්. But there are so many different types of meat, right? All these meat, they are rich in proteins. And you said fish. Yes, fish is also a type of meat. Technically, ගත්තොත් fish කියන්නේ meat ජාතිය තමයි. So fish, again, that is very rich in proteins. Even in fish, there are certain types of fish that have more proteins. Then eggs, definitely, right? මොකද eggs සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපිට මාරම කියන්නේ compared to chicken and fish, eggs are said to be more affordable. So it's a very good, like a very good source of proteins for people. Then, as you all said, milk products, dairy products, all proteins, they are good. In addition to that, so ඔයගලන්ගේ මට ආවේ දැන් ඒ උත්තර ටික විතරයි. What about dal? So if you, let's say you are a vegetarian person, vegetarian කියන්නේ meat වර්ග කන්නේ සත්තු මරලා ගන්න කෑම, like food that we obtain by like killing different animals, ඒවා කන්නේ නැති කටට අපි කියනවා vegetarian. හැබැයි animal based food මොනවත් කන්නේ නැති කටට අපි කියනවා vegan, right? So like for an example, vegan කට්ටිය කී බොන්නේ නැහැ. Cow's milk බොන්නේ නැහැ because cow's milk are from cows. So animal based food මොනවාත්ම කන්නේ නැති කට්ටිය vegan, but meat වර්ග විතරක් කන්නේ නැත්නම් they are just vegetarian, right? So anyhow, both vegetarian people and vegan people, where do they get proteins from? There are plant based proteins as well. Meat වර්ග වලයි, fish වලයි, egg වලයි විතරක් නෙවෙයි proteins තියෙන. So a very good example is dal. Dal කියන්නේ පරිප්පුනේ, we eat parippu almost every day, most Sri Lankans, right? So dal is a very good source of proteins. Dal වලත් කඩල පරිප්පු කියලා ජාතිය තියෙනවානේ. කඩල පරිප්පු has more proteins. It's better, right? Then අපි ගත්තොත් එම, you know, excuse me. There's soybeans. Soybeans is very high in proteins. So likewise, there are plant-based food as well that are very high in proteins. So there are so many different types of cereals like grains, right? So etakota, these are the food that have a lot of proteins. Harida. Now, Lamai, do you all remember when we talked about carbohydrates? Up QR, all carbohydrates are made of monosaccharides. So monosaccharides can glucose, fructose, galactose, so all carbohydrates are made of monosaccharides. For an example, if you take disaccharides, disaccharides are made of 2 monosaccharides. If you take polysaccharides, polysaccharides are made up of a lot of, one second, Lamai, one of the students. Polysaccharides are made up of a lot of monosaccharides. Okay? එතකොට ඔක්කොම carbohydrates හැදිලා තියෙන්නේ monosaccharides වලින්. Similarly, if you take proteins, all proteins are made up of something called amino acids. Amino acid it's a very small unit. So amino acids වලින් තමයි ලොකු ලොකු proteins හැදෙන්නේ. So amino acids can join and form a protein. එක එක විදිහට join වෙන්න පුළුවන් amino acids වලට. Like මම කිව්වේ starch හැදිලා තියෙන්නේ glucose වලින්, cellulose හැදිලා තියෙන්නේ glucose වලින්, glycogen හැදිලා තියෙන්නේ glucose වලින්, but they are different by the number of glucose molecules connected and also how they are bonded, right? So ඒ වගේ amino acids උත් එක එක numbers වලින් එක එක විදිහට bond වෙලා තමයි proteins හදන්නේ. So ළමයි amino acid එකක් තියෙන්නේ මෙන්න මෙහෙම. මේ structure ඔයගලන් දැනගන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. Even on your textbook, it's in the extra knowledge section. ඒක දැනගන්න ඕනේ, but just for interest sake. මම ඒක නිකන් කියන්න. Right? ඕනම amino acid එකක් හැදලා තියෙන්නේ, there's a carbon atom. And then there's something called NH2 here. There's something called COOH here. There's a hydrogen atom here and there's R කියලා group එකක් තියෙනවා. R කියලා. R could be anything. Right? So හැම amino acid එකකටම මේ ටික තියෙනවා. R වලින් තමයි amino acids differ වෙන්නේ. One amino acid is different from another amino acid by R. So R could be anything. ඒක දේවල් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. So R වෙන්න පුළුවන් මෙන්න මෙහෙම කෙනෙක්. R could be something like CH2. Or R could be something like CH2, CH2OH. මෙච්චර ඔයගලන්ට ඕනේ නැහැ. But what I want to tell you is that R could be anything. So depending on how R is, there are different types of amino acids. Okay. හරියටම ගත්තොත් ළමයි, there are 20 amino acids. There's a bit of a problem. Okay. The thing is, if you take proteins, there are millions of proteins out there. Nature එකේ ගත්තොත්ම millions of proteins තියෙනවා. එතකොට හැබැයි amino acids තියෙන only 20. Can just 20 amino acids form millions of proteins? Actually, yes. Amino acids, there are only 20. Only 20 types of amino acids. That is true. But amino acids, එක විදිහට join වෙලා එක combinations හදනවා. ළමයි, it's something like this. If you take the digits, අපි ඉගෙන ගන්නනේ පොඩි කාලේ ඉඳන් numbers, digits ගත්තොත් there's only 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. මේ අරගෙන වෙන digits නෑනේ. මේ digits එක විදිහට combine වෙලා there are so many different numbers. Right? There are so many different numbers where all these digits are differently combined. ඒ වගේ තමයි මේ 20 amino acids එක විදිහට combine වෙලා ගොඩාක් proteins හදනවා. So proteins are made up of amino acids. All right? So if you take like අපේ muscles එහෙම හැදිලා තියෙන්නේ proteins නේ. So those proteins are made up of amino acids called actin and myosin. So actually, like protein එක ගත්තොත් it's actin කියලා protein එකක් තියෙනවා. There's a protein called myosin. ඒවත් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැනගන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. But ඔයගොල්ලෝ hair වල තියෙන protein එක දන්නවද කවුරු හරි? This is kind of like general knowledge.
Keratin.
It is keratin. It is keratin. So you may have observed this in like shampoo, conditioner, hair treatment advertisements. They always mention keratin treatment, keratin rich shampoo. Advertise karane. That is because keratin is the protein that makes your hair. So our keratin enriched shampoo එකක් වගේ පාවිච්චි කරනවා නම් මම දන්නේ shampoo එකක විතර advertise කරනවා. I don't know if it's true. But yeah, it will strengthen your hair. Okay. So keratin is not only in hair, it's also in nails. Nails වලත් keratin තියෙනවා. ඊළඟට bones වල තියෙනවා, there's a protein called osine. And then if you take palm පිටි වල තියෙනවා a protein called gluten. Then if you take egg white වල තියෙනවා protein like albumin. Right? So likewise, ගොඩාක් එක proteins තියෙනවා. You know, have you heard of the term hemoglobin? Where have you heard hemoglobin?
Red blood.
Yeah, අපේ blood වල තියෙනවා hemoglobin. අපේ blood මේ red color එක ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ because of hemoglobin. That is also a protein. Likewise, proteins are found everywhere. Okay. Is that clear up to that point? Give me a thumbs up. If you have questions, you can ask. ඔගන්ට unmute කරලා ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න ලැජ්ජයි නම් you can put in the chat box. Questions are always welcome. Great. Then lamai, I think we can start writing. Yes. Amino acid එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ, it's just let me explain it one more time. So we have carbon එකක් තියෙනවා. මේ structure එක ඔයගලන් දැනගන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. So don't worry about it too much. මේක ඔයගලන් නිකන් කටපාඩම් කරන්න වගේ explain කරලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ නේ. I have to teach you properly. That is why I'm teaching this part. Otherwise, they don't ask about this structure. But this is just one amino acid. Like this, there are 20 types of amino acids. Right? So all proteins are made up of amino acids. Remember, just like starch is made of glucose, cellulose is made of glucose, glycogen is made of glucose. Likewise, all proteins are made of amino acids. So amino acids වලින් තමයි හැම protein එකක්ම හැදෙන්නේ. So there are like millions of proteins. හැබැයි amino acids, there are only 20. So these 20 amino acids, they combine in different ways, in different numbers, and you can generate any number of proteins you can. හරියට නිකන් ගත්තොත් එම digits ගත්තොත් there's only 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 නේ. ඔය digits 10 there are like so many numbers that we can generate, no? So many different combinations. In a similar manner, from these 20 amino acids, we can generate so many different types of proteins. So all proteins are made of amino acids. Okay. Razi, all good? Okay, great. Then we can start writing. I hope you put the topic proteins. Let's start writing. Mathakam liwat kaman element. Last week, you samarage notes mar balanda bari wuna. I'm very sorry for that. But adda tika tevanna, mama, I will be free this week, so I will check all the notes together. So other notes tevala tiyanala, yeah? Last week, ya tekkam mam balana. Quickly write this, Lamai. While you write this, give me a second.
Can I have a tea?
Focus on your work. Why is not working?
You probably don't have data.
He has a package.
Give me a thumbs up when you're done. Lama, here the last one. I have given it as a question because no point writing it during the class. You can just write some examples for food rich in proteins as homework. Okay. Mama, amino acids will structure then because as I said previously, it's for extra knowledge, so you don't really need to know about it, right? But I'll give you one more point. Make a liyaganna. Food will figure ida tiyala. Make a liyaganna. No. No. Let's not find that. No problem. Just leave it like this. So this is all you need to know, all you need to write, and all they will ask during the exam regarding this part, right? Now we will talk about significance of proteins. Why would proteins be so important? Okay. One is because if you remember, carbohydrates is an energy source. Okay. If our body needs energy, our body එක මුලින්ම යන්නේ carbohydrates ළඟට. ඊළඟ carbohydrates ගෙන් energy ගන්න. If carbohydrates are not enough, then our body will run to lipids. Lipids, we will talk about it in a bit. But if carbohydrates are not enough to get energy, then our body will run to lipids and will get energy from lipids. If lipids are also not enough, lastly, our body will come to proteins. Our body mulima proteins will tend. Okay? Our body first gets energy from carbohydrates. If carbohydrates are not enough, it will get energy from lipids. If lipids are not enough, then it will get energy from proteins. So, ara dekama nattam, proteins will give energy. Okay. Then also, do you remember I told you that proteins are very important because they make structures. One of the structures, what example I told you, hair, bones, muscles, right? Then also if you take අපේ body එක හදලා තියෙන cells වලින් ළමයි චූටි cells වලින්. So ඒ cells වල වටේ තියෙන පොඩි cover එකක්, it's called the cell membrane. ඒවා වල proteins තියෙනවා. So proteins is everywhere. Okay. And then there are certain hormones ළමයි. Right? Let's say you're feeling a bit happy. Right? Happiness එක එන්නේ because of a certain hormone. When you feel happy ළමයි, ඔයාගේ body එකේ secrete serotonin කියලා hormone එකක්, dopamine කියලා hormone එකක්. You may have heard these terms, right? When you're sad, there are certain other hormones secreted from your body. Then when you're stressed, again, there are hormones secreted from your body. සමහරට stress එක වැඩි වුණාම appetite එක නැති වෙනවා, බඩේ අමාරු හැදෙනවා, එහෙම සමහරට වෙනව නේද? That is because associated with your stress, there are certain hormones released. Likewise, hormones are really important for our body. Samahara hormones vitara are made of proteins. Not all hormones, only some of the hormones are made of proteins. Okay. And then there are another, so Lianipa, don't write anything, just listen. Just listen. So don't write, just listen. As an energy source. When carbohydrates are not enough, lipids are not enough, then our body will get energy from proteins. Then we said what? To make structures. Hair, feathers. Feathers is also made of keratin. Feathers can kurulange feathers. Then nails, bones, muscles, all of that is made of proteins. So proteins are very important to make structures. Then as hormones. Some of the hormones are made of proteins. Not all hormones. Some hormones are made of proteins. Then proteins are also important as enzymes. Enzymes can, because we will again be talking about enzymes in a little bit. Enzymes can lamai. Do you think there are chemical reactions happening inside our body? You know, we usually do chemical reactions in the lab, no? Ogalange lab එකේ chemical reactions කරනවානේ. ඔගා හිතන්නේ body එක ඇතුලේ are there chemical reactions happening? What's your opinion on that? Yes or no?
Yes.
I got 3 yeses.
Yes.
Can I also know who joined by the name Enoka Hemali De Silva? Is that the name you registered with? If not, can you rename? It's not attendance mark karagana lazy. Otherwise, I can't mark attendance. Can you please rename? Or you can let me know your name in the chat box. I will rename. Yes. there are chemical reactions happening inside our body. එතකොට ළමයි, when these chemical reactions happen inside our body, they need to be fast. Slowly, 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 එහෙම reactions කරන්න බෑ. Because our body is always functioning. මම නිදාගෙන ඉද්දිත් මගේ body එක function වෙනවා. So all these reactions have to happen fast. These enzymes, they're very important because what they do is they increase the speed of reactions in your body. In our body, there are chemical reactions happening, and these chemical reactions will be speeded up by enzymes. Okay, Joshua, I will rename you. So, enzymes are therefore important, and all the enzymes are made of proteins. Proteins නොවන කිසිම enzyme එකක් නැහැ. All enzymes are proteins. Yeah, sorry. Yes. A little typing mistake here. Thank you. So all the enzymes කියන්නේ මොනවාද? අපේ body එකේ reactions වෙනවා. ඒ reaction speed කරන එක. ඒතර ඔක්කොම enzymes හැදලා තියෙන proteins වලින්. Hormones ලා ළමයි only some hormones were made of proteins no. Enzymes now, all enzymes are made of proteins. Then another one is Lianpa maker as antibodies. What are these antibodies? Now, Ramai, let's say you have a disease. Hitanna, now most of the time we get diseases by bacteria, virus and fungi. Harita. ඔය viral flu කියන්නේ ඒ viral flu කියන්නේ ඔය viruses ඇවිල්ලා තමයි ඒ flu එක හදන්නේ. So let's say there is a now have you heard of the disease influenza? Influenza කියන ලෙඩේ අහලා තියෙනවද? It's a fever associated illness. Okay, great. ගොඩක් අහලා තියෙනවා. So අහලා නැති අයටත් එක්ක මම කියන්නම්. Influenza කියන්නේ ළමයි influenza කියන්නේ virus එකක නම. It's a name of a virus. Okay? When that virus enters your body, you get that illness. එතකොට හැදෙන ලෙඩේට කියන්නේ influenza. Really, Hirmali. Okay, since it's your first day, you stay during the class and let me know at the end of the class or within today and tomorrow whether you will continue the class or not. Okay? So to give like a little update, we were doing the first lesson. Api dan proteins in Hirmali or Mulidam hitiyane you joined on time, no? Anyways, we finished carbohydrates and now we're doing proteins. Okay, if you have any questions, you can ask. So එතකොට එහෙම virus එකක් හරි bacteria එකක් හරි වගේ body එකට enter වෙද්දී your body has an immunity system. Your immunity system senses it. මෙන්න bacteria එකක් ඇවිල්ලා නැත්නම් මෙන්න virus එකක් ඇවිල්ලා කියලා ඔයාගේ immunity system එකේ sense කරනවා. Sense කළා මොකද කරන්නේ? army එකක් හදනවා. soldiers ලා හදනවා. soldiers ලා හදලා කියනවා ගිහලා fight කරන්න කියලා. ඒ soldiers වල තමයි ළමයි antibodies කියලා කියන්නේ. Let's say there's a kingdom, you guys watch a lot of movies and TV series and like cartoons or whatever, right? Let's say there's a kingdom. Kingdom hai king and a king and all that, right? Let's say enemies la no kingdom ekra attack karan, invade karan. Etara මොකද කරන්නේ? ඒ kingdom එකෙන් release කරන soldiers la. Those soldiers will fight the enemies. Right? If the enemies win, මොකද කරන්නේ? enemies la ඇවිල්ලා ඒ kingdom එක අල්ල ගන්නවා. If the soldiers win, the kingdom will be safe. That's exactly what happens in your body. Your body is the kingdom, right? Bacteria එක හරි virus එක හරි fungus එක හරි වගේ body එකට enter වෙන්නේ, that is the enemy, right? Enemy එනකොට ඔයාගේ immunity system එකට තේරෙනවා මෙන්න enemy කෙනෙක් එනවා කියලා. So your immune system generates soldiers. ඒ soldiers තමයි මේ antibodies ලා. Antibodies are these soldiers. Soldiers la gihilla enemies atta fight karna. If it's a virus එකත් එක්ක fight කරනවා ගිහලා antibodies. Or bacteria නම් bacteria එකත් එක්ක. If the antibodies win, your body will be safe. ඒතර ඔයාලට ලෙඩේ හැදෙන්නේ නැහැ. if the virus or the bacteria or the fungus win, ඒගොල්ලන් වාගේ body එක අල්ල ගන්නවා. ඒතර තමයි ලෙඩේ හැදෙන්නේ. Okay. So you may have experience even during the COVID period. I think you guys were quite young, like අවුරුදු 5ක් විතර නේද? You guys probably must have been in, you guys are 15 this year, no? Grade 5 6 වගේ 6 5 6 7 වගේ කාලෙනේ COVID තිබ්බේ. So එතකොට you may have noticed that some people නෑ අපි හිතමු vaccine එක අමතක කළා දාන්න. මොකද vaccine එක ගත්ත අයටත් ලෙඩේ හැදුනානේ. I mean ලෙඩේ හැදුනා, but the consequences were a little low. But anyhow, some people got the virus, some people didn't get. එකම ගෙදර වුණත් සමහර අයට ලෙඩේ හැදෙනවා, සමහර අයට ලෙඩේ හැදෙන්නේ නැහැ COVID. Or any other virus, let's say influenza කියලා. සමහර ගෙවල let's say නංගිට හැදුනා influenza. Then ගෙදර අනිත් අයටත් බෝ වෙනවා. හැබැයි සමහර වෙලාවට නේ හිතන්නකෝ in our house mostly me, my younger sister and my parents are kind of prone to getting sick. But my second sister doesn't get sick as often. She also gets sick, but not as often. That is because of the immunity system. If your kingdom is strong, that will produce very strong soldiers. එතකොට bacteria virus එක ගහගත්තාම soldiers දිනනවා. But if your immunity system is weak, that means your kingdom is weak. එතකොට හදන antibodies are weak. And antibodies are the soldiers, no? එතකොට ඒගොල්ලෝ weak. Weak වුණාම මොකද වෙන්නේ? Virus or bacteria can get into your body. එතකොට ඔයාලා ලෙඩේ හැදෙනවා. So antibodies are those soldiers, right? So these antibodies are also proteins. Is that clear, Lamai? Thumbs up, please. Lian Nepal, just give me a thumbs up if it's clear. All right. Now we can write. Mama කියනකම් ලියන්න පටන් ගන්න එපා ළමයි, yeah? I'm going to change the note a little bit. මම දැන්ට අපිට discuss කරන්න ඕන ඉඳන් මෙහෙම ලියුවේ. Okay, now start writing. මාත් එක්කම ලියන්න. Okay, quickly write. Quickly write. Let me know when you're done. Okay, Lamai. Done, everybody? Some of you have finished. Okay. Now we will talk about how we can, let's say you are given some random food that you don't even know. So you should know how to test if there is proteins in there, right? Again, now don't write, just listen. When you're given a food, how do we test if it has proteins is what we are going to discuss now. How to identify if there are proteins in a food. අපි මේක කරන්න මුලින්ම අපි සාමාන්‍ය proteins තියෙනවා කියන්නේ ඩාල් වල තියෙනවා කියනවා egg white වල තියෙනවා කියනවා. So whatever that is, we take it to a test tube. Now lamai, if you take egg white for an example, egg white na harima less in a test tube ekata gana, because egg white is the white part of the egg, not the yolk. So egg white is easy to be taken into a test tube because it is already like a solution, like a liquid. Egg white wage na lazy. හැබැයි ඩාල් හරිප්පු වගේ ගත්තොත් අමාරුයිනේ. ඒතර what you have to do is ඔයාර වංගෙඩියක් වගේ එකක් තියෙනවා ලැබ් එකේ, like a mortar and pestle, වංගෙඩිය මෝගහයි වගේ චූටි එකක්. ඒකට ඩාල් ටිකක් දාලා වතුරත් එක්ක හොඳට grind කරන්න ඕනේ. You grind it very well, mix it very well with water, right? And then filter කරලා solution එක විතරක් ගන්නවා. Okay? So this is that solution. Dal na, you just grind it with water and you get that solution. If it's egg white, you just get the egg white. Okay? Onna mage solution එක තියෙනවා. Okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an extra amount of sodium hydroxide. What is an extra amount of sodium hydroxide? ඒ කියන්නේ ළමයි දැන් මෙතන තියෙනවානේ මෙච්චරක් විතර. ඒ වගේම look and ලොකු ප්‍රමාණයක්, not just a few drops or anything. A significant amount of sodium hydroxide I'm going to add. A significant amount of sodium hydroxide I'm going to add. Now this is my already, like let's say egg white kela. For an example, let's say egg white. So I'm going to add sodium hydroxide and extra amount. Extra amount kiyanne. Why do we say extra amount? Because it's not just a few drops. Yeah, more. We add more. Kushit, can you say it now?
They don't.
Okay. Let me know if you still can't see it. Then, onnapi extra amount of sodium hydroxide dala. Then we add a few drops of copper sulfate. These words are very important. Extra amount, few drops. These words are very important. So you have your protein solution, may it be egg white or may it be dal, whatever it is, right? Egg white, hari, dal, hari, mona, hari, wage solution. You add an extra amount of sodium hydroxide and you add a few drops of copper sulfate solution. Copper sulfate is a solution, right? And what make the observe this solution turns purple. This solution turns purple. Purple color una kiyanne there are proteins. Okay? You take a test tube or a boiling tube, whatever mocha tube ekak gannawa. You put your protein food, whether it's dal solution or whether it's egg white, you put it into that tube. And then you add an extra amount of NaOH and a few drops of copper sulfate. Then you will see that the solution turns purple color. That will confirm that proteins are present. Okay.
Only purple color shows.
Yes, sala. So practically it has like a very dark blue color. Sometimes it gets a bit confusing. So generally, that may put a purple color. It's general. Like practically, if you take it, it's like a blue purple color. But mostly you can see like a hint of dark purple. Okay.
Okay, miss.
Okay. So if you do it in the lab and you see like a dark blue color instead of purple, that would also be correct. Even then you might be able to see like a slight hint of purple. But it's anyways a darker color. Okay. So this test is given a name. මේ test එකට අපි නමක් කියනවා. We call it biurate test. Now, let me tell you something. At the exam, a mistake that a lot of you do is proteins of the test එක කියන්න කිව්වහම yes, the name of the test is biurate. ඕගලන් කියනවා protein solution එකක් අරගෙන biurate solution එක දාලා එහෙම කියලා. Biurate කියලා solution එකක් නෑ ළමයි. Biurate is just a name. It's the name of the test. අපි දාන්නේ extra amount of sodium hydroxide and a few drops of copper sulfate. Dala, we observe the color change to purple. Biurate is just the name of the test. Okay? So that is how we identify proteins. Is that clear? Give me a thumbs up, please. Okay. I think we can write now. Okay. Put a topic. Test to identify proteins. Test to identify proteins. Sorry, Lamai. And then let's write a few points. Mata kemelian patangan. Like this, sodium hydroxide, copper sulfate, these are just names of chemicals in the lab. Huh? Don't worry about them too much because all of these you are learning in the O-level syllabus. Okay, quickly write. Let me know when you're done. Scientific name. When we are writing the scientific name, is it? Here's the thing. Now, making spelling mistakes is okay because this is a science paper, not an English paper. So they will not like mark it wrong, even if your spellings are wrong. But even with wrong spellings, your answer should have a meaning. Okay. So biorate කියන එකට කිසිම meaning එකක් නැති වෙන විදිහට spellings තිබ්බොත් they won't give marks. So let's say අකුරක් දෙකක් වගේ හැලුනට කමක් නැහැ. As long as it gives a meaning. When the examiner is reading, they should feel like මේ biorate කියන එක තමයි ලියන්න හදලා තියෙන්නේ, but spellings වර්ධිලා. So they should get that idea. Okay. If there's no context, if they don't have any meaning, then they will mark it wrong. But as long as there's a meaning, it's like it's sensible, it's okay to get the spellings wrong. Okay. Okay. So this is the test to identify proteins, and now we learned a bit about enzymes, right? පොඩ්ඩක් අපි enzymes ගැන මෙතන කතා කරානේ. We are going to properly learn a little bit more about enzymes. Okay. චුට්ටක් enzymes ගැන වැඩිපුර discuss කරන්න හදා. So put a topic enzymes. Put a topic enzymes. Again, so the question is, in the biorate test, egg white or dal is added as the protein. But in the exam, can we write commonly protein can be added as a solution? Yes, you can write that. But it won't be necessary because most of the time in the exam, they give you some context. Right? Like they would say, මෙහෙම X කියලා කෑමක් තියෙනවා නැත්නම් X කියලා food එකක් තියෙනවා, write a test to identify if there are proteins. ත්‍රවා කියන්න ඕනේ X grind කරලා එක solution එක ගන්න කියලා. නිකම්ම මොනාත්ම දුන්න නැත්නම් you can just write a solution containing proteins. If they have not given you any context, just write a solution containing proteins. Okay, but most of the time in the exam they give a context. Okay. Okay. Now, if you take enzymes, what we know already about enzymes is that enzymes are proteins. We also know that now in our body, there are chemical reactions happening, right? In order to increase the speed of these chemical reactions, enzymes are used. Our body enzymes. All these enzymes are used to speed up the chemical reactions inside the body. Okay. So we are going to do a little test. Just listen, just listen. We are going to do a little test to understand how enzymes work. Okay. Now, there is a small situation like this, right? If I want to convert sucrose to glucose in the laboratory. Lab එකේ මට sucrose glucose කරන්න ඕන නම් මම මොකද කරන්නේ? heat ඔයගන් මතකයිනේ නේ? අර test for sucrose එකේ අපි diluted sulfuric acid දාලා heat කරානේ, right? So heat with acid, right? But let's say අපේ body එක ඇතුලේ. Even inside our body, sucrose is constantly turned to glucose. But අපේ body එක ඇතුලේ ඕන විදිහට අපිට heat කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? Can we just add diluted acids as we prefer? Can we do these changes? Sucrose තියෙන කෑමක් කාලා you can't just drink an acid thinking that acid will convert the sucrose to glucose, right? So even outside, even though in the outside, in the laboratory, we can convert sucrose to glucose by heating it with diluted acids. In the body, we can't do as we please. Body එක අපිට ඕන විදිහට heat කරන්න බෑ because your body has like a constant temperature. Temperature එක සාමාන්‍යයෙන් වෙනස් වෙන්න බෑ body එකේ, right? Then we can't just add acids or whatever as we please. හරිද? එතකොට මේක දැන් lab එකේ වෙන්නේ මෙහෙමනේ. But body එකේ වෙන්නේ කොහොමද? Heat කරන්නෙත් නැහැ, acid එකක් දාන්නෙත් නැහැ. There is an enzyme. That enzyme will directly convert sucrose to glucose. Sucrose is a disaccharide. So in carbohydrates, there are you were absent. You were not there for the first two classes, no? So we talked about carbohydrates. Under that, we learned that there are 3 types of carbohydrates. Eka example hai tamai sucrose kila kiya. Let me know whether you will continue the class, and I will send you those recordings. Then you can catch up from those recordings. Okay? So, me wage enzyme ekak karanne, it will speed up a reaction inside our body. Okay. අපි දැන් කරන්න හදන්නේ, we are going to do a test. Enzymes මෙහෙම කරනවා අර එහෙම කරනවා කිව්වට හරියන්නේ නැහැ. අපි check කරලා බලන්න ඕනේ. Okay. So මම මොකද කරන්නේ? I'm going to take a test tube. I'm going to take a test tube, right? And I'm going to add okay, Hirumali. Okay, I'll drop your text. 2 milliliters of starch solution. Starch තියනවානේ potato වල, even palm පිටි වලත් starch තියනවානේ. So ඒ ටිකක් වතුර දිය කරලා filter කරලා ඔයා 2 milliliters starch solution එකක් ගන්න. And you put it to a test tube. Okay. And then there is an enzyme called amylase. Amylase කියලා enzyme එකක් තියෙනවා. මේ enzyme එක හොඳට තියෙනවා germinating green gram seeds වල. Last week also I explained you what germinating green gram seeds are. ඒ කියන්නේ green gram කියන්නේ මුං ඇටනේ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේක ඉස්කෝලේ හරි පොඩි කාලේ හරි කරලා තියෙනවා කියලාත් කිව්වා නේද? පස් වල හරි පුළුන් වල හරි even in just water you put some mung beans, මුං ඇට ටිකක් දැම්මම එයාගේ මෙහෙම පැලයක් එනවානේ චුටිට sprout වෙනවා. ඒ sprout වෙන මුං bean එකට තමයි අපි කියන්නේ germinating green gram seeds. So this enzyme amylase you can find in germinating green gram seeds. Green gram කියන්නේ මුං ඇට ළමයි ආ. Germinate වෙනවා කියන්නේ sprout වෙන්න පටන් ගන්නවා. So what you can do is you can take some germinating green gram seeds and you can grind it well. Again, ar wangadiya mogahai wage, there is a little ceramic pot in the lab. Using that, you can grind it well and like maybe add a little bit of water and then grind it well and then filter that solution. Filter karahama ata amylase solution ekak enawa. Why? Germinating green gram seeds wala amylase තියෙනවා. So when you grind some germinating green gram seeds with water and filter, that solution will have amylase. A amylase solution ekenot, I'm going to add 2 milliliters. 2 milliliters of amylase solution. Amylase is an enzyme. I will explain more about amylase in a bit, but amylase is an enzyme. Now we're talking about enzymes now. So amylase is just an example. So now we have 2 milliliters of starch solution. For that, we are going to add 2 milliliters of amylase and we are going to mix it very well. Medina hondita mix karna. Okay, we mix it well. Once we mix it, let me use a different color for this. We just mix it well. Once we mix it, what we are going to do is we are going to take a white tile. White color tile ekak ganna. Like this. This is my white color tile. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a drop of this amylase solution. we are going to check how enzymes work. කොහොමද enzymes වැඩ කරන්නේ කියලා බලන්න තමයි අපි හදන්නේ, right? So we have 2 milliliters of starch, we add 2 milliliters of amylase, we mix it well, and then after like 2 minutes, මම මෙතනින් එක drop එකක් අරගෙන මගේ white tile එකට තියනවා. මෙන්න මෙහෙම drop එකක් මගේ white tile එකට තියනවා. තියලා I'm going to add a drop of iodine. Iodine drop එකකුත් මෙහෙම add කරනවා. What do you think will be the color that you can see? මේක ඇත්ත කලර් එක green නෙවෙයි. මම එතන green විදිහට ඇඳ හින්දා තමයි මෙතන green color වලින් පෙන්වුවේ. But iodine වල color එක නම් brown තමයි. So I added a drop of iodine. What do you think will you be able to see here?
Blue color.
A blue
Yeah.
color, black kind of blue.
Yes. You will be able to see a purplish blue. Why? Why?
Because protein is
Not proteins. Protein bioreactor stuff අපි කරේ නැහැ. Starch is there, yes. Right? Starch මෙතන තියෙනවා. So you know when you take starch and you add a little bit of iodine, what happens is that it will turn like a purplish blue color. Oh, I'm sorry, it will turn a purplish blue color. Okay. Purplish blue color එකක් වෙනවා. And then you let it wait. කොහොමත් එතන starch තියෙනවනේ. So starch තියෙනකොට starch තියෙන එකට iodine දැම්මම obviously it will show a purplish blue color. You wait, right? You let it be. And then after another 2 minutes, තව 2 minutes ඉඳලා ඔයා මෙයාගෙන් තව drop එකක් අරන් මෙතනින් දාන්න. Okay. තව drop එකක් අරන් මෙතනින් දාන්න. Like this. මේකටත් you are going to add a drop of iodine. Again, you can see that there will be a purplish blue color. Right? Again, you will be able to see a purplish blue color. And purplish blue color එක චුට්ට light වෙලා. Then you wait for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, you are going to again get a drop from this solution and put it onto the white tile. Drop back around white tile. Then you are going to add a drop of iodine. And you wait for the color change. Now you will be able to see that there is still a purplish blue color, but චුට්ටක් purple color එක අඩු වෙලා වගේ. ඒ කියන්නේ purplish blue color එක චුට්ටක් අඩු වෙලා වගේ. You wait, and then after another 2 minutes, you are going to get another drop of this solution. Another drop of this solution you are going to take, and then you are going to add a drop of iodine like this, and then you are going to observe the color change. Again, you will be able to see a purplish blue color, but purplish blue color එක තවත් චුට්ටක් අඩු වෙලා වගේ. Again, you wait for 2 minutes, and then again you're going to take a drop of this solution, and then you put a drop of iodine, and then your color change එක බැලුවම color එක තවත් light වෙලා. ඒ color එක තවත් light වෙලා. You wait another 2 minutes, then you take another drop of this solution. You take another drop of this solution. You add a drop of iodine. Now you can see that. You can still see that purple color a bit තවත් අඩු වෙලා like this. ඔහොම යනකොට අන්තිම හරිය ළමයි. Look at this last. You have to continuously do this. 2 minutes intervals තියලා කරන්න ඕනේ. අන්තිම හරියේදී when you put a drop of iodine, you will be able to see no color change. කිසිම color change එකක් පේන්නේ නැති වෙන ගන්න. Okay. So what has happened here? At the very beginning, lamai, හොඳට අහගන්න. At the very beginning, starch is there. Okay. So starch වලට iodine දැම්මහම you can see a purplish blue color. But starch is not the only thing that is present here. There is also amylase. Amylase has a very important function. Amylase මොකද කරන්නේ? මේ solution එකේ ඉන්න starch ටික gradually maltose වලට convert කරනවා. The starch in the solution, amylase will gradually convert it to maltose, right? But එකපාරට කරන්නේ at the beginning it can't do. මුල වෙලේ එතකොට හොඳට starch තියෙනවා. So starch iodine දාපු ගමන් purplish blue color එකක් පෙන්වනවා. So that is what you can see here. But the starch will be converted to maltose because of amylase. Then මොකද වෙන්නේ? Starch, the amount of starch in the solution decreases. Since the amount of starch decreases, then මොකද වෙන්නේ? Iodine purplish blue color එකක් පෙන්වන්නේ නැහැ. Because maltose is a disaccharide. We learned it last week. Maltose is a disaccharide. Okay? Yes, I will explain again. Maltose iodine එක color change එකක් පෙන්වන්නේ නැහැ. So let me explain it again. You take 2 milliliters of starch solution and you add 2 milliliters of amylase. Amylase is an enzyme. කොහොමද amylase එක ගත්තේ? You got germinating green gram seeds. You grinded it well and with water and you filter that solution. So that will have amylase. So 2 milliliters of amylase solution with dana. So amylase is an enzyme and its function is converting starch to maltose. හරිද? හැබැයි එකපාරට කරන්න යන්නේ. It will gradually do it. So at the beginning there will be a lot of starch in this solution. එතකොට when you put an iodine drop, it will show a purplish blue color. See, purplish blue color එකක් පෙන්වනවා. But gradually all the starch will be converted to maltose. Maltose iodine එකේම color එකක් දෙන්නේ නැහැ. එතකොට මේ අන්තිම හරිය වගේ වෙද්දී starch ඔක්කොම ටික maltose වලට convert වෙලා there will no longer be starch. Only maltose. Maltose දෙන්නේ නැහැනේ color එකක්. Starch විතරයිනේ දෙන්නේ. Now අන්තිම හරිය starch නැහැනේ. Only maltose. So maltose will not give a color. ඒතර ඔයාට එක පෙන්නවා brown color. Brown is the color of iodine. Iodine එකේ color එක විතරයි අන්තිම හරියට පේන්නේ. So 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes interval තියෙති ඔයා drop එක දාලා බලන්න ඕනේ for about like 20 minutes. The drops 10ක් වගේ හිටින විදියට you have to check. At the very beginning you can see like a very good purplish blue color, but as you go that purplish blue color gradually decreases or disappears. Why? Because starch was converted to maltose by amylase. Is that clear? If we don't add iodine directly, iodine වලින් කිසිම වෙනසක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Iodine තියෙන්නේ starch තියනවාද කියලා බලන්න විතරයි. Amylase වලින් තමයි වැඩේ කරන්නේ. Amylase is the one that converts starch to maltose. Iodine drop එකක් මම දාන්නේ just to check starch තියනවාද නැද්ද කියලා බලන්න විතරයි. මොකද මූල හරිය මම iodine the color of iodine is like a brown color. Okay? So mula hare mama iodine dabham it shows a purplish blue color, so I know that there is plenty of starch. But at the very end, it doesn't show any purplish blue color. It just looks brown. Brown වෙන්නේ මොකද iodine වල color එක brown හින්දා. එතකොට මට show එතන starch නැහැ. එතකොට මට හිතන්න පුළුවන් starch is not there. That means starch was converted to maltose by amylase. That's how I understand how amylase works. Okay? iodine කරන එකම දේ starch තියනවද නැද්ද කියලා confirm කරලා දෙන එක විතරයි. But the real work is done by amylase. That is the one that converts starch to maltose. Sashil, is it clear? Any other questions? Okay. Seems like everything is clear, which means we can start writing. ළමයි මම කියනකන් ලියන්න පටන් ගන්න එපා. මොකද මම මුලින්ම note එක ලියද්දි තනින් තන වෙනස් කරනවා. ඒතර උගාන්ට වෙනස් කරන්න බෑනේ. So don't start writing until I tell you to. Just enzymes කියලා topic එක විතරක් දාගන්න. Rate is the same as speed. Increase the rate of biochemical reactions in speed එකම තමයි. Then let's put a subtopic. Wait, ළමයි, don't write.
කරා.
Hmm?
උඩට කරන්න.
Okay. Don't write this enzyme part yet, Kushi. Okay, ළමයි දැන් ලියාගන්න පටන් ගන්න. I think now you gave me a good heads up, like a head start. So you can start writing now. Yes, amylase is an enzyme. අපි අන්තිමට එක ලියමු. What do you mean, Sala? I didn't understand. Activity part note කියන්නේ? What do you mean?
The note you're giving now, the
Yeah.
activity.
Yeah. Can you see the board?
Now it's fine, miss.
Now fine. No, okay. චූට වඩිනාරි දෙන්න ළමයි. Let me just let's just add this sorry, I was on mute. 1 second. ළමයි පොඩ්ඩක් ඉන්න. චුට්ටි දෙයක්. Okay. Now, I think you will be able to see it now. Kushit can see now, right? And Tisari, can you see now?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. In these diagrams, I don't expect you to use like multiple colors. මට නිකන් sketch එකක් විදිහට දැක්ක ගම ඔයාලට visually ඔලුවට යනවනේ. Otherwise, you don't have to use like this color, that color. එහෙම ඕනේ නැහැ. Just penciling and that ඇති. Let me know when you're done.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes, Razia.
Can you zoom the diagram?
Yeah. Is that enough?
Yeah.
Okay. Lama, I'll give you 3 minutes to finish. Huh? I know some of you all are still writing, so I'll give you 3 minutes. Quickly finish. Just draw the tile, Hirumali. Draw color, nika circles se vitara kandagan. You don't have to like add the colors and all that. Just so that you have something visual. Okay. Okay, Lamai. Have you all finished? Okay, I'm gonna. Definitely, you need more time. All right. So that's the end of proteins, and we will move on to lipids, right? Now, if we talk about lipids, what are some examples for lipids? What are some examples for lipids?
Coconuts.
Coconuts, okay. Coconut has a lot of oil. Therefore, we use coconut to make coconut oil. What else? Nikang oil kilariyan because oil can be extracted from different things. There are different types of oils.
Butter.
Yeah, butter has a bit of oil. Margarine has a lot of oil. As in, butter has a bit of lipids. That is true. Can I ask you a question? This is a general knowledge question. What is the difference between butter and margarine?
Amount of oil.
Mm, there is a difference, but that's not the main difference. Yeah. Butter mainly में හැදලා තියෙන්නේ milk වලින්. Right? But margarine ගන්න plant and animal fat වලින්. කියන්නේ plants වලිනුයි animals වලිනුයි ඔය vegetables වලින් හැම oil extract කරලා oil එකෙන් තමයි margarine හදන්නේ. But butter is just taken from cow's milk. Therefore, mostly margarine has a lot of oil or like a lot of lipids. Butter also has a bit of lipids. Butter වල ටිකක් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි margarine වල තමයි ගොඩක් තියෙන්නේ. What else has a lot of lipids? ගොඩක් කලාට එක nuts වල. Yes, Anika.
Avocados.
Avocado, very good, because avocado is used to make oils. ලංකාවේ ගොඩක් avocado oil use කරනවා අඩුයි, but avocado oil is very widely used in foreign countries. What else? Sunflowers, because that is also used to make sunflower
Does olive-
oil. Olives, yes.
Does olive have?
Yes, olives have lipids because olives are also used to make oil, right? There are many different types of food containing lipids, right? Lianipa Monad, just listen, na? I don't want you to write a single thing. Monad Lianipa topic eka danipa, just listen. Now, Lama, if we take lipids, there are two types of lipids. Eka lipids jatiyaka අපි කියනවා fats. The other type of lipids we call oils. So lipids වල තියෙනවා fats කියලා section එකක් වෙනම oils කියලා වෙනම. Fats කියන්නේ ළමයි at room temperature they are solids. If you take margarine is a solid at room temperature. ගොඩක් රත් වුණොත් ඉතින් දිය වෙනවා. But room temperature එකේ කියන්නේ like generally නිකන් එළිය තියන්න පුළුවන්. It's normally a solid. Oils are liquids at room temperature. Don't write. For an example, if you take coconut oil or like sesame oil or like olive oil, mostly these different types of oils, they are liquids at room temperature. Generally, අපි lipids or fats කියලා කියන්නේ. If they are solids at room temperature, we call them oils if they are liquids at room temperature. Now, carbon wala, you know, elements are carbohydrates wala, elements are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. If you take proteins, the elements were carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. Lipids gattod, lipids are just like carbohydrates in terms of elements. Carbohydrates has carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, no? Lipids also has carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. හැබැයි ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මතකද carbohydrates වල special property එකක් තිබ්බා. The hydrogen to oxygen ratio is 2:1. මතකයිද කියලා බලන්න. මතකයි නම් give me a thumbs up. Okay, Razia, just send me a reminder. Yes, in carbohydrates, we said that hydrogen to oxygen ratio is 2:1. එහෙම එකක් නම් lipids වල නෑ හැබැයි. Right? Lipids don't have anything as such. Carbohydrates වගේම carbon, hydrogen, oxygen තමයි තියෙන්නේ lipids වලත්. But lipids වල මේ වගේ ratio එකක් නෑ. Lipids වල අතරම oxygen ගොඩක් අඩුයි. Carbohydrates වල වඩා lipids වල oxygen අඩුයි. But oxygen is there, but අඩුයි. Right? Do you think lipids dissolve in water? Do you think lipids dissolve in water?
No.
Yeah. Lipids do not dissolve in water. Why? The best example, we can take coconut oil. When you put some coconut oil to water, that will not get mixed, no? You know, coconut oil and globules wage hadana misa, they don't properly get mixed. So lipids water wage wala dissolve in yes. දැන් ඔයා වතුරට ඒකට ඔයිල් එකක් දැම්මොත් එම තනින් තනින් බබල්ස් වගේ හදනවානේ ඔයිල් වලින්. හදලා අන්තිමට ඔක්කොම ටික උඩට ඇවිල්ලා මෙහෙම ෆ්ලෝට් වෙනවා. ලේ එකක් හදනවා. So usually now if you take lipids are formed like this. there is something called fatty acids. Fat can venom ekak, fatty acid can venom ekak. Fats is a type of lipids. Fatty acids is something else. As in, am I lagging? Hirumali. Am I lagging or something? Others, am I lagging, Lamai?
Notice.
Okay. Hirumali, might be a connection issue from your end. You can try kala balanda when to move. If you are from the phone, you can just try to move to a different position. Netang Wi-Fi ka khari mo kharna chuta move kala ban antenna eka. But it will get fixed. Agala hariyai mata hitene. Local connection issue ekak newe na hariyai. But otherwise, check your connection a bit. Anyways, there is something called, okay. There is something called fatty acids, right? Fatty acids කියන ජාතිය react කරනවා glycerol කියලා ජාතියක් එක්ක. Fatty acids and glycerol react and form lipids plus water. Do you remember monosaccharides එකතු වෙලා disaccharide plus water හදනවානේ? ඒ වගේ fatty acids and glycerol together forms lipids and water. So fatty acids plus glycerol go to lipids plus water. Okay, that is how lipids are formed. So what did we talk about lipids so far? We said there are two types of lipids. There are fats, which are solids at room temperature. Then there are oils, which are liquids at room temperature. Then we said just like carbohydrates, lipids are also made up of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. But the difference is that in carbohydrates, you can see that 2:1 ratio in hydrogen and oxygen. In lipids, there is no such ratio. In lipids, actually, oxygen amount is very low. Then, api example food kata kara, and also we said lipids are formed by the combination of fatty acids and glycerol. So fatty acids plus glycerol form lipids plus water. Okay. Then we have to see why are we have to see why are lipids important. Api kata kara significance of carbohydrates kila, we learned about why carbohydrates are important. Then we talked about significance of proteins and we talked about why proteins are important. Lipids are important as an energy source. Do you remember I told you when our body needs energy, මුලින්ම යන්නේ carbohydrates ළඟට. ගිහිල්ලා carbohydrates වලින් energy ගන්න. Carbohydrates මදි නම්, if the amount of carbohydrates is not sufficient, then our body goes to lipids. Lipids is the second option. If the energy from carbohydrates is not enough, then our body will go to lipids. Then lipids වලින් energy ගන්න. ඒ දෙකම මදි වුණොත් තමයි proteins වලට යන්නේ. So lipids are an energy source. Lipids are actually a very good energy source. Samanen lipids වලින් වැඩිපුර energy හදන්න පුළුවන්. Okay. So just like proteins, carbohydrates and proteins, lipids can also be used to make structures. Usually, let's say me, you, animals, humans, then plants, අපේ හැමෝගෙම body එක හැදිලා තියෙන cell. Let's say there's something called a cell. All our bodies are made up of cells. මේ cell එක වටේට චූටි cover එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ cover එකට අපි කියනවා cell membrane කියලා. Cell membrane is like a cover that you can find around a cell. මේ cell membrane එකේ තියෙනවා lipids jati deka. One type of lipids, we call it phospholipids. There's another type of lipid, we call it cholesterol. Cholesterol na ugala hala tiyanwane. That is cholesterol. So cholesterol is not necessarily a bad thing, but tara vadipura tibbo tamai prashne. So they are both lipids. So lipids can also be used to make structures. Like in the cell membrane, there are phospholipids and cholesterol. They are both lipids. Also, my lipids were the cover වැඩක් පුළුවන්. conservation of water. What does that mean? මොකද conservation of water කියලා කියන්නේ ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ළමයි there are certain plants that are grown in areas with less water. water අඩුයි දැන් අපි ගත්තොත් එම කොළඹ වගේ පැතිවල වැවෙන plants වල ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. and ඕගොල්ලෝ wet zone එකේ වගේ ඉන්නවා නම් ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ පැතිවල තියෙන plants no problem because you constantly get a lot of rain. But let's say like a very dry area like Hambantota maybe, north area maybe, Puttalam maybe, or like even a warmer, drier climate like a desert වගේ ගත්තොත් එහෙම හැදෙන plants වලට water ගොඩක් චුට්ටි කියන්නේ ගොඩක් අඩුවෙන් තියෙන්නේ. The amount of water available is very less. So they have to have a mechanism to protect the water that they already have. Okay. Example like විදිහට ළමයි ඕගලන්ගේ tap එකෙන් හොඳට වතුර එනවා නම් ගෙදර water network එක හොඳට වැඩ කරනවා නම් නැත්නම් ලිඳෙන් හරි කොහෙන් හරි if you are constantly getting a lot of water ඔගලන්ට එච්චර ගණන් ගන්න නැහැ වතුර ටිකක් නාස්ති වුණත් ගණන් ගන්න නැහැ. The only reason you will care about wasting is because of the bill. bill එක වැඩි වෙයි කියලා හිතලා ඔගලන් waste කරන්නේ නැහැ but otherwise water bill එකක් වගේ ආවේ නැත්නම් ඔගලන් හොඳට waste කරයි. Right? හිතන්න සතියක් විතර වතුර කපනවා. There's no water. What do? කොහොම හරි water ටිකක් collect කරගෙන ඒ ටික මාර පරිස්සමෙන් පාවිච්චි කරන්න ඕනේ. I remember there was a certain period of time where like there were constant power cuts. Along with power cuts, there was a cut of water supply. එතකොට එහෙම එක කාලයක් තිබ්බා COVID කාලේ මම හිටියේ රත්නපුරේ. We live in a like a kind of a small village අපේ තාත්තා ගම නැත්නම් අපි ඉන්නේ කොළඹ. But here රත්නපුරේ ගියාම I love that place. එහෙ චුට්ටක් ගම හින්දා සමහර වෙලාවට light කපනවා වතුර කපනවා then එහෙම ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා right light එහෙම current කැපුවොත් එහෙම it takes days for them to come and fix and water එහෙම ඒ වගේ ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා. So there was a certain time when there was something wrong with the tank or something. For like 2-3 days we didn't have water. Okay. So what we did was, but thankfully it was a little village, so there were like a lot of wells. So somebody like my father or someone will go and collect the water, and we had like what do you call the baldi in English? Like some containers with water. So cooking, so it was very difficult for us to even take a shower. I think it lasted for like 3 days. 3 days කියන්නේ මහ ලොකු කාලයක් නෙවෙයි. සමහර පැතිවලට ගොඩක් කල් වතුර කපනවා. So එච්චර ලොකුවට උන්නේ නැහැ. But that was the worst experience I've had. But it was fun because I remember our neighbors had a well. So my නංගිලා දෙනා ගිහලා අපි ලින්දේ වතුර ඇදලා ලින්දෙන් නාලා. So it was kind of fun. But yeah. So එතකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ? If we know that we don't have enough water, we will try to protect the water. We will try to manage with whatever the little amount of water we have. ඒ වගේ තමයි ළමයි water අඩු areas වල හැදෙන plants. They don't get much water, so whatever the water they have, they try to conserve it. That means keep it, protect it, right? ඒකට මොකද කරන්නේ? ගොඩක් ඒ වගේ plants වල leaf එකේ එළිය තියෙනවා පොඩි layer එකක්. There's a small layer. එළිය පොඩි layer එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ layer එක හැදිලා තියෙන wax එකකින්. That wax is called a Q10. Q10 කියලා wax ජාතියක් තියෙනවා. There is a wax called Q10. So that wax is a lipid. So a pativala plant leaves vela there is a layer of wax, layer of Q10. And what this Q10 does is that plant එක ඇතුලේ තියෙන වතුර ටික එළියට යන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ. So it keeps the water inside. Okay. Even some animals they have like a wax layer on their body. Any question? Okay. So even certain animals, they have like a layer of wax to help them keep the water inside. නැත්තම් වතුර ටික ගිහිල්ලා especially dry areas වල නැත්නම් deserts වල වගේ ඇඟේ තියෙන වතුර ටික ඔක්කොම ගියාට පස්සේ dehydrate වෙනවා. එහෙම වෙන්න දෙන්න බෑ, dehydrate වෙනවා කියන්නේ මැරෙනවා. So because of that, plants and animals, they have like a wax layer. Plants වල නම් wax layer එකට අපි කියනවා Q10 කියලා. So that is, those are lipids. So therefore, lipids also help to conserve water. Then to maintain body temperature. How do lipids do that? Now lamai mage body එකේ fat layer එකක් තියෙනවා. Right? So under my skin I have a fat layer. අපි එකට කියනවා hypodermal fat layer. So under my skin there is a fat layer. Because of that, let's say it's a bit cold. සාමාන්‍ය පොඩ්ඩක් cold වුණාට කමක් නැහැ, I can tolerate it. දැන් හිතන්න ළමයි let's say winter කාලෙට which we don't experience. නැත්නම් ඔගා නුවරඑළිය ගියාම හරි නැත්නම් winter කාලෙට හරි. Anyone living in නුවරඑළිය? Anyone from නුවරඑළිය? නැද්ද? බදුල්ල? බදුල්ල බණ්ඩාරවැල ඒ පැත්තේ නැද්ද කවුරුත්? Okay. Anyways, so whether you go to a colder climate or let's say foreign people when the winter comes, they wear a coat or like a jacket or something to keep them warm. නේද? ඒතර jacket එක කන්දන එකේ මොකද වෙන්නේ? body එකේ ඇතුලේ heat එක ඇතුලේම හිටිනවා පොඩ්ඩක්. Then you feel a bit warmer. So even without a jacket or a coat or anything as such, අපේ body එකේ natural coat එකක් තියෙනවා. Natural jacket එකක් තියෙනවා. That is this fat layer. Under your skin you have a fat layer and that fat layer kind of works like a coat. ඒතර සාමාන්‍ය පොඩ්ඩක් සීතල වුණාට ඔයාට bear කරගන්න පුළුවන් if you have a good fat layer. සමහර ගොඩක් හෙට්ටු අයට එහෙම සීතල දරා ගන්න බැරි ඒකයි. Because the fat layer is very thin. Okay? එතකොට this fat layer is kind of like a coat, like a jacket. It keeps you warm even when you're not actually wearing a jacket. Okay. Then, තව වැඩක් තියෙනවා lipids වල ගොඩක් වැඩ තියෙනවා. To protect internal body organs. So lamai, if you take our body, there are very important body organs. For an example, if you take the brain is very very important. ඔයාගේ brain එක function වෙන්නේ නැත්නම් ඔයා ජීවත් වෙලා වැඩක් නැහැ නේද? Even if your heart is beating, if your brain doesn't work, it's almost like dead. Because there is no meaning to that life no. So ඔයගලා movies වල හරි ඔයගන්ට දන්න ඉන්නවා ඇති සමහර paralysis, either full paralysis or partial paralysis වෙන කට්ටියගේ brain එකේ, if it's full paralysis the entire brain is not working. So that person may be breathing, digestion but the brain is not working, right? So there is not much to life if that happens. Then there are also certain people going through partial paralysis. Partial paralysis can brain එක සමහර පැති විතරයි damage වෙන්නේ. ඒතර ඒ brain එකේ damage වෙච්ච තැනට අදාළ body part එකක් disable වෙනවා. Anyhow, brain is a very important organ. And because it is important, it needs to be protected. Therefore, ඔයාගේ brain එක වටේට තියෙන පොඩි lipid layer එකක්. ඒ lipid layer එක කරන්නේ නිකන් protection එකක් දෙනවා. If you take the heart is also very very important. The moment your heart stops, you are not alive anymore. It's very important heart එක, right? එතකොට ළමයි heart එක වටේටත් තියෙනවා lipid layer එකක්. Then kidneys are also very important. Kidneys වලින් තමයි අපේ body එකේ urine හදන්නේ. එතකොට kidneys වටේටත් තියෙනවා lipid layer එකක්. Then lungs, stomach, liver, ඒ වගේ ගොඩාක් internal organs වටේට lipid layer එකක් තියෙනවා to protect it, right? එතකොට මොකක් හරි pressure එකක් ආවොත් හරි නැත්නම් මොකක් හරි shock එකක් ආවොත් වගේ හරි it will protect. And also ළමයි as hormones. Remember I told you under enzymes that, under proteins I told you that some hormones are proteins. I told you hormones are very important. Hormones are responsible for balancing your body. body එක කිව්වහම physical body එක විතරක් නෙවෙයි අපේ mentality එක emotional පැත්තත් මේ balance කරනවා hormones වලින්. I told you ගොඩක් අයට ඕගොල්ලන් phones වලට addict වෙන්නේ ඇයි? phone එක හරි laptop එක හරි computer whatever tab or whatever. Why do you get so addicted to these devices? When devices use කරද්දී like you get like because it's fun no? Let's say you're watching a video or playing a game, it's fun. ඒ වගේ වුණාම ඔයාගේ මොලෙන් secrete වෙන hormone එකක් that is called dopamine. Dopamine is a very addictive hormone. එතකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඔයා ඒකට මාරම කැමති and then you will kind of get addicted to it. That is a very normal thing in this generation. It's not just y'all, even very older people, right? අපේ ඕගලන්ගේ generation එක අපේ generation එක අපිට වඩා වැඩි generation ඒ ඔක්කොගෙම this is addiction to devices, right? Then let's say you're feeling හැබැයි dopamine කියන එක ඔයාලට හොඳ විදිහට හරව ගන්නත් පුළුවන්. Let's say if you enjoy reading or if you enjoy taking a walk, painting ඒ වගේ වැඩ කරද්දී dopamine secrete වෙනවා. So dopamine is not always in the bad direction, it's also in the good direction. Then there is a happy hormone called serotonin. Serotonin is called the happy hormone. Then, you know, when girls go through menstrual cycles, you know, monthly there is a menstrual cycle. So, එක stages වලදී එක hormones secrete වෙනවා. අපි grade 10 second term එක ඉගෙන ගන්නවා එක. Girls වගේ menstrual cycle එක කොහොමද වැඩ කරන්නේ? Because we'll be talking about the reproductive systems of males and females. එතකොට now in a certain, let's say ගොඩක් girls අර මේක experience එක තියෙනවා during your menstrual cycle එක කාලවලදී ඔයගලගේ emotions එක විදියයි. So in certain days you feel very like angry or like you feel very annoyed. Certain days you feel good, happy. So ඒ වගේ පොඩි hormone fluctuation එකක් තියෙනවා menstrual cycle එකත් එක්ක, right? And yes, so ඒ වගේ ගොඩක් hormones are responsible for our physical and mental health. So I told you some of these hormones are proteins, no? Other hormones are lipids. So some are hormones proteins, through hormones are lipids. So this is about the importance of lipids. Any questions? All clear? You can give me a thumbs up, please. Can I know who joined by the name Niroshika Jayaratna? Give me a second. So, yes, all good, right? All clear. Then I think we can start writing. Lipids ka topic kya dalna mai? Pura topic lipids. Kota liye ma. Lipids. All right, okay. මේ question එක ඔයගලන් පස්සේ ලියන්න. First you all write this. මම යට significance yes හිරුමලි. Lipids මේ තියෙන්නේ මේ කොටස. Lipids එක ලියා ගන්න significance එක මම යටින් ලියන්නම්. ඔක ඔයගන්ට එක පේන්නේ නැත්නම් don't worry about it because I will move the board down. Okay, ළමයි, quickly write. If you want me to move the board, you can let me know. Make it fast. Yes, I will zoom in a bit. Lamai, it's raining heavily here, so that's why I'm keeping my camera off. Otherwise, the line will lag a bit. But let me know when you're done writing. If you have any questions, ask them right here. Only my camera is off. Lamai, I'll give you 2 more minutes to finish writing. 2 more minutes. Quickly write. Okay, Lamai, has all of you finished writing? Shall we move on? Okay. Now for lipids also, මෙතන ඉඩ තියාගත්තනේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ examples ලියන්න. Anyways, now we are going to be learning about what test we can do to identify if lipids are present. Okay. So we can take any sample with lipids. Let's say if it's an oil like na කොහොමත් liquid එකක් නේ at room temperature. So you can just straight away take it to a test tube. But if it's like a solid වගේ නම් ඔයා චුට්ටක් රත් කරලා melt කරලා test tube එකකට දාන්න පුළුවන්. Right?
උඩට කරන්න.
Sorry?
උඩට කරන්න.
Right. Okay, wait. Can you see now?
Yes.
Okay. So, එතකම explain කරන්න මේ ටික. So here, this is the oil. It could be like coconut oil, whatever the oil you want. Even if it's a fat, it's okay because you know fats are solids at room temperature. So as I said previously, you can just heat and melt it and then put it to a test tube. Then in the lab, there is something called a Sudan 3 reagent. Sudan 3 reagent කියන්නේ නිකන් liquid එකක්. ඒකෙන් ටිකක් මේකට දානවා. මම මේවට අදාළ videos ටිකක් බලලා ඔයගලන්ට එවන්නම්. Or you can go search on YouTube and find too, but I will try to find some and send. So I'm going to put some Sudan 3 reagent to oil. ළමයි හරියට වතුරයි ඔයිලුයි mix කරාම තනින් තන oils නිකන් bubbles වගේ හදනව නේද? Before oil forms one layer and floats on top, before that happens, oil forms like bubbles, like globules වගේ හදනවනේ.
Yeah.
වගේ. Yes, ඒ වගේ. Here you can see red globules. Make it oil like lipid එකක් නේ. So we say we can find red fat globules. එහෙම තියෙනවා නම් that means lipids are there. So let's say you take an oil, you add a little bit of Sudan 3 reagent, you can see red globules. අය නිකන් අර oil වතුරයි mix කරද්දි තනින් තන oil නිකන් bubbles වෙනවට කියන්නේ globules කියලා. Globules වගේ හදන්නේ. ඒ වගේ here also when you put sodium 3 reagent to the oil, it will form red color globules. Since it's lipids, we call it red fat globules. Okay. So that is this test is called the sodium 3 test because we use the sodium 3 reagent. Okay. So put a topic, test to identify lipids. Okay, මාව lag වෙන හින්දා මම කැමරා එක පොඩ off කරලා තියන්නම්. It might get better. මේක සුඩාන් 3 3 තියෙන Roman numbers වලින්. Quickly write this. This is very easy. Tirumali, what about now? Can you hear me? So just may test to identify lipids කියන එක ලියා ගන්නකෝ. Let me know when you're done writing. Yes, it's okay because it's okay, Zara.
Miss, you listen, study and give, right?
What?
You will be studying giving anything?
For y'all to study.
No, now?
Now, did you write this note? Test to identify
Yeah.
lipids.
Yeah, miss.
Okay, then that is it. Because I'm also finishing the class now. There's a heavy rain and my line is also breaking, I think.
Okay, miss.
Okay. So,
Thank
Lamai.
you.
Okay. All right. So, Lamai, how about others? Who needs more time? How did Tanita leave in Nepal? Tell me who has finished writing? I mean, who needs more time? Anybody who needs more time? Okay, seems like everybody has finished. Okay, Lamai. So today we finish lipids. I'm actually finishing firstly because it's raining outside. Ogan lag වෙනවත් කියපු හින්දා, and now anyways our time is up. Secondly, we are starting nucleic acids. It's a whole new section, so it's better we start it the next day. So we will try our level best to finish the lesson next week. Saha, next week, okay, I will be giving you the worksheet related to this lesson. My lesson ke worksheet එක මම next week දෙන්නම් once we finish the lesson next week. Okay. And again, let me tell you, Hirumari, do you have my WhatsApp? I will give you my WhatsApp number. Just drop me a text there. Let me check if this is my number. I can't remember. 1 second. Yes. Wait. Yeah. This is the number. So you can drop me a text there. Again, namai namat ekka dala mat text එකක් දාන්න. Then I will we'll see then what to do next. So again, let me tell you, if you have sent me a message and I have not replied, කොහොමත් මං එන දවස් දෙක ඇතුළත ඔයගලන්ගේ ඔක්කොම messages වලට reply කරනවා. But anyways, ගොඩක් කලින් දාලා reply වෙලා නැත්තම් මට emoji එකක් වගේ chat නැත්තම් just like dot එකක් දාන්නකො chat එකට. එතකොට ඔයගලන් chat එක උඩට එනවනේ. Then I can respond accordingly. And also, I will be sending the attendance list today. අද එකයි last week එකයි දෙකම මම එවන්නම් අදට හරි හෙට උදේට හරි. And absent වෙනකොට මට inform කරන්න. Now you are slowly developing that habit because ගොඩක් අය මට inform කරනවා message එකක් දාලා හරි call කරලා හරි absent වෙනවා නා. So you must inform. If you are getting absent, you must inform. ඒ ටික තමයි තියෙන්නේ. So එතර worksheet එක මම next week දෙන්නම් අපි ඉවර කරාම. That's all I have to say. Anything any concerns you have before we end the class?